Hey guys, good morning. Out here in the shop, getting ready to build some boxes for some herbs. We'll make them out of cedar. So, yeah, the box that I had when I did the seeding video, that was behind me that I showed you real quick. I'm gonna put a second box on top of that, another box on top of that, so that way I can have two layers of herbs. Um, on it in that window. And we may even take it outside and put it on the front porch. Who knows? Or on the back porch. It's hard to say. But anyhow, I want a double layer of fresh herbs to put on there. So I thought I would show you what I'm getting into a little bit. Now, it's a basic box. I haven't cut anything yet. And they're really easy to do. So what I'm going to do is it's going to be 35 inches long by 17 and a half. Oh my gosh, 19 and a half inches, I think. 19 inches, sorry. Deep, or, yeah, deep. So what I've got going on here, got my table saw set up, got my first piece of cedar on here. Now, the cedar I'm using is it's literally just a fence post, for a privacy fence. Good cedar is expensive. Well, finished cedar is expensive, and I want that rough look. And what we'll do is we'll seal this in the end. So what I'm going to do is each board I'll take, like this board here. I'm going to take it. It's only going to be one board in depth for soil, so I don't have to do a whole lot. So when I cut this, I can get the two sides, the front and the back, out of this. I can get the sides out of another board, and then I'll finish it off with the bottom. All right, so let me get this cut. Well, before I get this cut, let's talk about a few things shop safety-wise. When you're using tools, be aware. Don't be, getting drunk, getting stoned, trying to use tools. I would hope that isn't what you're doing anyhow, but all the same, these are dangerous. I mean, I know it's got a guard on it, things like that, but you want to be consciously and subconsciously aware of what's going on. Tools are not hard to use. Power tools are not hard to use, but they can be dangerous if you don't use them right and pay attention. So things to consider before you even start it up is you should have eye protection, glasses, ear protection. These tools can get loud, especially if you're constantly using them. They can and will damage your hearing, even if it's just earplugs or full-blown ear gear. Either way is good. And right now I'm going to be a hypocrite because I don't have either at the moment, but you should. This is a don't do as I do type moment. But when you're cutting, especially with a circular saw, you want to, in this case I have a bracket or a stopper right here that's going to hold this in place. And then you don't want your hands up near here. That comes down, and your hand slips, you could lose a finger. So you don't ever want to keep your hands close to it. If I did not have this brace here to hold this down, my hand would be way back over here at the edge of it. As I cut, I will use this hand on the saw itself, and I will put this hand down here. What that does, since I don't have a giant table to do this, all my stuff is tabletop stuff due to the size of my workbench. I don't have any way of securing this board. There's a little stand out here that comes to about here, but it leaves all this hanging. So what happens is when you cut, this board's going to want to try to start to fall, and it can cause an uneven cut. So I'm going to put my hand out here, right here at the very end, to hold it down. That way I get a good even cut. Now I know some of you that may watch this down the road, tomorrow, next week, next year, whatever, are probably going to say, oh no, you're doing that all wrong. There is no, do it your way. Remember, if you're woodworking, you're doing this for you. When it comes to how you build it. There is no right way, no wrong way, whether it's size, shape, whatever. There's just some basic rules to follow when it comes to tools. And with this tool here, with a circular saw, you don't want to keep your hands near here. All right, so when I measured this, I measured it out at 35 inches, and I drew a line. To draw a line, always best thing to use is a square. All right, that way I know, and it's a metal square, it's not a wood square. I have a wood square running right here somewhere, but that way I know that's good and tight to this edge, and I've got a good straight line. Now, if these were for more than just some outdoor boxes that are going to have gaps in between the boards, well, in this case it won't, because it'll only be one board. I would finish off these sides, so that way when I stick the boards on, if I were doing multiple boards up, I would have a nice flat surface to lay on, which, I mean, I'll show you something like that someday. I think maybe on another project, we'll use the joiner, we'll finish up, we'll do some finishing for some wood, get it together. That way we can make it happen. All right, well, let me get these cut, and when I come back, I'll show you what we got. Okay, so real quick, there are a couple things that I wanted to mention. So, first, I'm new at videoing what I do in the shop, so bear with me. I'm going to make mistakes. It's a fact of life. But things you want to do when you're cutting new boards, brand new boards. So, the end of the board. All right, now in this case, these are eared. That's called eared. They don't have the corners, and I'm not going to use that, so I'm not worried about this. But let's say the other end of the board. You want to trim off the end of the board before you start measuring, cutting, or anything like that. Now, this particular project, building the box, is a little more forgiving. A lot of things are either hidden or, it's going outside for the most part. Most of the time when you build boxes like this, they go outside. But you want that way, you've got a nice even end to start with. Even though it comes from a mill and it's cut by a machine, sometimes that can be a little uneven. And that's because, if you notice, like this one here's got a giant crack in it. It's not always even on the side. It's very rough. So when it's measuring, this board might be offset just enough that's not even, but you want that even. So you trim off that end. Then when you go to use your measuring tape and you put it on here and take it down to whatever measurement you like, you can run from there. That way it's going to be right on both sides of the board. Then the next thing you're going to want to do, this is how I do it. Now, this could be, I'm sure, like I said before, there's lots of people out there who probably say, oh, that's not the way you're supposed to do it, but this is the way I do it. When you do woodworking, it's kind of like cooking. You make it your own. How do you feel comfortable with it? So I've only got one more board to cut after this, but what I do is the very first board I cut, this one's 35 inches. This is the first 35-inch board I cut. I put it on top of the board I'm about to cut. I make sure that this is even all the way down, straight on the sides, and then I take my pencil and I run a line on the board I need to cut that is even with this board. That way when I remove this from the bottom of this board to this line right there that you can hardly see, that is 35 inches. So when you put the board on your table, okay, and you bring it down, you always want to keep it, you want your saw to hit on, or come down and cut on the opposite side of the line of the board piece you need. So like in this case, it's 35 inches from the end to this line, so I want to cut to the right of the line. I hope that makes sense. That way you've got it, because if you cut to the left of the line or the inside of the line, you're going to lose the width of your blade on your measurement, it's going to put your measurement off. So you always want it to be to the opposite side of whichever way you've measured. In this case, since I have it all going to my left, it's 35 inches, and I'm going to cut to the right of the line. Now, per se, if it was coming out this end, I would cut to the left of the line. Yeah, but that's kind of one of the cool things about this. That's how I cut boards at any rate, and I wanted to show you that. A couple, like I said, going forward, when you do this, you do it your own. There is no right way or wrong way to do a project and put it together when it comes to things like this, small woodworking projects. Think it through, write it down. I drew this out a long time ago on those boxes when I was first making them, so I know what works. I've had my boxes now for 2 seasons, and they've not fallen apart, they've not broken, so I know my design works. And let's say you do cut on the wrong side of the line. What do you do then? It's okay. You have a couple options in this case. You can either grab another board and cut another piece, and say like I cut this wrong. Okay. Oh, I've cut it wrong. What do I do? I'm a horrible person. No, you're not a horrible person. I cut this. It's wrong. I grab another board. I cut it. Well, what do I do with this board? Well, save it for another project, or I still have to make, I cut the sides already, but say I hadn't cut the sides. I could easily cut the 2 sides I need out of this, or at least one of the sides I need out of this. And then that way it's used. Depending on the project you do, this giant crack that's in this, you may want to omit that piece. Say like you're building a nice piece of furniture, like we're getting ready here in a little bit as soon as I finish up this trash can, which I've only got one more panel to glue together, and then I'll be moving forward. I'll get that done today too. After I get that done, well, even on that one, if, I don't want to crack the show, it's going in the kitchen, it's going to be a showpiece. Everything I make furniture-wise, I want to be a showpiece. I want it to show the best of the best. And I want that for this also, but I also know that this will be strong enough that I can use it. Our box not only will have the front, the back, and the sides, but it'll have a bottom, which, you'll see this when I go to put it together. So I'll put that on the bottom. That way it's not seen. It will be hidden from view, so to speak, so we don't have to worry about that any. That's why I don't mind using the crack. Otherwise, I wouldn't use the crack. All right, so let me go ahead and finish getting these last couple cut, and when I come back here in just a millisecond for you, we'll look at how I'm going to put this together. All right, I'll see you here in a second. Okay, so I got everything cut, and I have currently dry fitted everything. Now, with a box, dry fitting is kind of lucrative because this really is just a basic box. No special cuts or anything like that. It's going to be glue and pin nails. So, what I've done is, here, let me show you. If I can get the thing to go down. Alright, so here's where we stand. What I've got going on here at the moment. Now, you don't necessarily need half the tools that I've used so far. Which, by the way, when using power tools, follow what the manufacturer says to do. Okay, so these are corner holders. They're like helping hands. And what they're doing is they're holding these corners together for me. So that way I don't have to sit here and fuss with them. They're already together. What I'm going to do is I'll do this side and then I'll do the other side. I don't have enough reach on my little bench here to get it to do all 4 sides at once. So what I'm going to do is I'll do this side, and then I'll do the other side. All right, so since I'm going to glue and pin nail these together, I want to go ahead. I'm going to loosen this up, take this board back off, and this really is like the easiest thing ever. I'm going to do this side. What I'll do is I'll glue it. I'm going to put some glue on here, fairly liberal. It's okay if it squeezes out. you're gonna 99% of the time, if you're gluing right, you're gonna have squeeze out. What's squeeze out, you ask? Squeeze out is when I press these two together and I'm gonna get glue out the other side. That's not really uncommon. As a matter of fact, it's normal. It should be that way. So what we'll do is I'm just going to simply set this back in here. Get down here so you can see it. There we go. Set it back down in here like such. Oh, got it in the wrong direction. Like such. I'll set it there for a second. Wipe the glue off my hands. Like such. Get that nice and straight and even again, like I had it. Tighten this up. Now, I mean, if you don't have a set of helping hands, so to speak, because not everybody has these, and that's okay. You don't have to have them. You can use a clamp. Matter of fact, I got a clamp right here. Clamp. When woodworking, you can never have too many of these. All right, so now that I've got that glued together, what I'm going to do is take my staple gun. Well, I had it glued together. Now that I got the glue on there, see, you guys could see me make mistakes all the time. All right, tighten that back up. It slipped on me. So what I'm going to do to help ensure that is a good tight bond that's not going to move. I'm going to take my clamp. Take my clamp. Put it on here. Near the top. Like so. Clamp it together. Now I know it's not going to go anywhere. You know, it is firm. And in theory, I could just let this go. I don't have to put any pin nails in it. I could just let the glue dry and be done. Clamp it. And I'll explain why here in just a second. But I'm going to put nails in it. Because I want to. So I've got a pin nailer, and what this has is it's got little itty bitty nails in it, and it's going to shoot them out. I'm going to hook it up to my air compressor. Now, it is a good practice, I think, this is my opinion, to not hook up any tools until you're, like if it's an electrical tool, you know, like the saw earlier, until you're going to use it, don't plug it in. Only because, and like with this one here, I didn't put the air line on it until I was ready to use it. I know I have small children, and all it would take would be for me to set this down and look away for a second, and all of a sudden I've got a child in here who's playing with, in this case, a pin nailer, which they could hurt themselves with, or you. Or if you have the saw out, same thing. They could hurt themselves. You don't want that. Now, when using a pin nailer, you know, put it up against where you want to shoot, okay, and pull the trigger. It's that easy. But what you don't ever want to do when nailing something is put your fingers there. These, especially in a harder wood, have a tendency to maybe want to go to the left or right, and they may pop out. So you don't want that to pop out into your finger. Take your time with it. This isn't a race. You know, I mean, I personally, although I will build things for people. Matter of fact, we're getting ready to do some flag boxes to hold American flags with, the triangle boxes, for displays for different American flags that we have in our house. But I'm building one for a neighbor friend of mine across the street. And then that way, he's got one for his dad's. His dad fought in World War II, and he wants that to, you know, wants to keep it safe. So I'll do the other side real quick. I said, this isn't hard. And remember, it's not, you know, you don't ever want to rush anything. It's not supposed to be work. It's like cooking. take your time, do it at your pace. This is enjoyment. You don't do it. You don't have to do it fast. You don't have to rush through it. And it's something that if you don't have time to do it that day, that's okay. Don't do it that day. I've been working on this trash can now for forever. A couple months at any rate. So we got that side done. So then all we gotta do is the other side. So we'll, take this. Take that off, just like we did the last one. We'll put some glue on it. And like I said, this project in particular isn't nearly as detailed as it could be. We could have, instead of gluing, we could have done dovetail joints or box joints, or we could have done rabbit ears in order to accomplish this. But it's going outside, first of all. Secondly, which that shouldn't matter. Inside or out, it should always look nice. But I am covering these corners with 1x3s to match the one that's inside that we've built already. So I'm not really concerned with how these corners look. And let's say, as far as how they look, and then how are they structural? Because like I said, we're beefing up the corners to match the other one, because the other ones, the legs are there, and I want it to all match. On the one in the living room that's in the dining room at the moment, that's raised box for outside that we're going to keep in, the corners are where the legs are, and so I will match those corners, or where the legs are set with 1x3s done in black. I will match those just on the sides here, so that way it looks good, and it looks pleasing to the eye. You want it to look nice. Anything you put in your house or on your porch, you want it to look nice. All right, so we got the glue going there. Oh, let me move this clamp back up. Once you nail, you don't necessarily need the clamp on there. Sorry if my head just got in your way. I just realized that. But I do it just for added security. It makes me feel better. So we got the glue on there. Now we're just going to nail this in. And like I said, you don't want to keep your hands, if find a way, if you want to hold your wood, hold it like way up here in the when you're doing it. That way you don't accidentally get a nail in your hand. It won't kill you, but it won't feel good. That's for sure. And then check the insides, make sure you're good. And then I will take another clamp. Now, I'm done with this for the moment, so I will unplug it. Safety and taking your time go hand in hand. You don't want to rush things. I've seen so many people. I worked at a cabinet shop a long, long time ago, and I've seen people rush things and get hurt, and that's just never a good deal. You don't ever want to be that guy. So it's easier to take your time, especially if you've never done anything before. Now, in reality, I can probably make this box in about an hour and a half, most of that being glue up time. But I want to take my time. I want to make sure I show you all the proper steps. And, we're doing it right. Plus, this is the first box I've built in a year. So, it's like a good refresher course. I remember how to make them, but I haven't actually made one. And it's like anything else. If you don't use it all the time, you have a tendency to not lose it, but not really remember all the steps. So always take your time. When you do anything like this. All right, I'm going to let the glue dry on this side before I flip it over. Then I'll go ahead and put the other side on. When I come back, we will put the bottom on. All right, I'll see you here in just a moment. All right, guys, so the box the glue is dried. It's still a little flimsy. There's nothing truly holding it together because it's just a box. Let's get down here where we can look at it. So what we're gonna do a couple different steps to secure this to make it so it's not so flimsy, so it's square and stays square. All right. So the next step we got to do is put the bottom on. This is actually the bottom of it, and all we're gonna do is put these boards on like this. And after talking to Chris briefly, she agreed we should put this outside with the piece that the box we're connecting it to for the summer. So this will actually go on the back porch, and we'll take it from there. So here's how we're going to set them. All right, and you're saying to yourself, well, wow, Brian, that's got giant gaps in it. And you're right, it does. There's a reason for that. What we're looking to do here is we want those gaps. We want, when we water our herbs or flowers or whatever we decide to put in this at any given time, we want those gaps so any water that would possibly collect in here, which I've never actually seen water leak out of any of these, comes through. It allows air circulation. It does a lot for your plants. It keeps the soil, vital, in my opinion. I've not read that anywhere, but in my opinion. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these 3 boards, and see, I put that one on the bottom. You'll never even see it. So that's why I said you can use it. Hold on for me one second. I'm watching an H.G. Wells movie from 1936, and it's interfering along with the ambulances. So what we'll do first, we're going to nail this on. Make sure I got enough air in the air tank. I do, or my air compressor. So we're going to pin nail this, and we're going to we're going to glue this on just like we did the others. And what we're going to do, and this will hold it. And you might think to yourself, or you might not, because you may not know, will those pin nails and glue hold? Well, they will, although cedar is a soft wood. It has a tendency to do funny things, but glue should hold all this together in and of itself. But we're not nearly done supporting this. The bottom is going to keep it square, and then the glue and the pin nails will help keep it together. But then we still have to need some more glue. We're going to put 2x2 squares on the inside corners. Okay, that'll happen as soon as we get these bottoms on. And then plus, remember, we got the outside bracings that go on the corners that will match the legs of the one we're going to put on top of this. If you can't see it in your head, that's okay, because I will have either at the end of this video or a video all on its own, which it may be a video all on its own as I plan on doing a video just on the herbs and the seeds and the plants and all that stuff, checking out the greenhouses. That may be the next video that's seen. But all right, so we got that on there. So we're just going to set these in like such, make sure that they're square with the board. Yeah, I'm not worried about that excess glue that's in between these boards so much. It'll dry, it'll be fine. Yeah, and then we'll get those corners in, which will help also keep it square, keep it together. But I will use screws for those ones, for those corner ones, and then I'll also use screws to put the outside corner decoration on. I would probably just glue and pin nail those, but the other box that we made 2 years ago is done with screws, so I wanted it to match and look uniform. So we'll use screws for that part, but this here we'll just penny nail in, or pin nail, and then take it from there. So we got those in, we got those set. They're in good shape. Good shape. Remember what to do with the nail gun. Nail gun. And then we're going to put some of these brad nails in it. I'm out of nails. You should always want to make sure that your nails are full. I had a couple, 2, 3 left. Yeah. Oh, let me grab some more pins here. Or I guess they'd be brads. Put those in. Put them in the right way is always helpful. Every once in a while, brad nailers like to lock up. That's what I was talking about with don't put your hand near where you're nailing at. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but that brad nail just come flying out because I didn't hit it quite right. I got too close to the corner and it blew it out. So you don't ever want to keep your, for the safety of you and others, don't keep your hands near there. It, could turn into something very bad very quick. All right, so we got that done. Undo the the pin gun. Yeah. Yep. Don't ever keep your hands near there. And then we're just gonna flip it over. Those pins will help keep it tight. The glued surfaces together tight until they dry. You'll hear people say they're going to pin nail until the glue dries. Well, once the glue dries, your pin nails aren't going to come out. They're recessed, and you would break your thing apart, your project apart, trying to get it the way it needs to go. All right, so we got that done. We now officially have a box. Looks pretty cool, doesn't it? So next thing we need to do is I did this while I was waiting on the glue dry for the box. I went ahead and cut some 2x2s. These are actually some old deck fencing posts that I just cut up. And we're going to stick these in the corners. All right, just like that. Right there. And what these are going to do is, it's going to help beef up the corners. And it will also help because I'll pin it from the bottom too, and it'll help hold this. So what we're looking to do, what this will do is when we go to put the corner pieces on, which I don't have one because they're Chris painted them and they're outside drying still, but we'll get them put on in this video. I'm going to, like I said, screw those in. This will give it meat to screw into. So you're asking yourself, because I don't think it'll happen in this video, but I will show you in a video, only because I don't have the materials to do it. How do we keep the soil in here? All right, and you may be worried about the weight of the soil on just these little boards here. Well, first, just to help that a little, I cut a third board that is 17¼ inches, like these end pieces. It'll sit right here in the center. So you've got this supporting it in the corners. So Then on top of that, in order to help keep this in check, we are going to also install, as soon as I find them, see, this is the problem with memory loss. I lost my memory. Here it is. Alright, so I'm also going to put these little blocks in, and they're going to go right here on either side. That way they can, what I'll do is I'll nail those. I'll nail the board into these from the underside, put some glue on them, then we'll put this down. I'll nail it in, okay, to the cedar, all right, to the bottom, and then I'll nail these into the sides of the cedar. So it'll have contact with glue to these boards and this board. Between that, the bottom, and then chicken wire will be laid in here, and then burlap on top of that before we even put soil in. So the weight of the soil will actually be distributed pretty evenly with the chicken wire onto the sides. The bottom will help hold a little, but not nearly as much as the sides are, because I'll staple the chicken wire into the sides. So when all that weight sits on it, all that weight's going to transfer to the sides. You know, it'll actually be on those staples, which will go into the wood, which will send it down, send it into the legs or whatever. But there won't be, you know, this is only going to hold maybe 25 pounds at most wet soil. So it doesn't require anything hefty. These are things that you want to think about when you're building. Is it going to hold something? How much is that something going to weigh? What do you need? And it helps to do research. And if you do have questions or you can't figure it out, you can always message me. Leave me a comment on one of my videos. I look at all the comments and read all the comments, and I'll be happy to answer questions. Just like I said, just find me either on Facebook or leave me a message here, or or just message me on Messenger, and I'll be more than happy to hit you up. All right, so when I come back, I will have these nailed in, this nailed in, and we can put in, we'll put on the sides with screws. Okay, I'll see you here in just a little bit. All right, paint is dry on the corner blocks. Corner blocks, very nice. And here's how they're going to go on the corners, just like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw them in, but I'm going to countersink with a countersink bit. What it does, it makes a little divot so that way the head of the screw can go in. If you don't have one of those, it's okay. If this is something you want to try and build, you don't absolutely need one. They're just nice to have if you happen to have one. They're not horribly expensive, and if you're gonna build anything that requires screws, it does make things look a little nicer. So we just drill a countersink couple screw holes in there. Change out our bit. So, and I'm using decking screws. They're for outdoor use, and these are 1 5/8 screws. So, and you could go up to, I could have gone to a 2.5-inch screw, but I didn't have any in black, and we already painted these. So I'm just going to screw it in and see how the head's flush, and that'll match. This will match the other one that we're going to put this on top of. So that way we can get that done. And this is the side of the cabinet right here, and I've got that flush with the side because that's what I did on the other ones. All right, got that one in, and then we'll put the front one on. And the front one, when I put it on, I'm going to overlap this one. Just like that. Now I'll use my helping hand to hold it while I get it in place. Forgot what I was doing for a second. So we'll drill 2 holes here, or countersink 2 holes here. This project, this would be a good like first time to try something project. Yeah, if you've never really built anything before, this would be a good place to start. It's not a complicated project, but it does teach you how to measure, teaches you how to use a saw, and even if you don't have an electric saw, this can all be done with hand tools. Nope. It shifted on me. Let's move that back over where it was. But anyhow, like I was saying, this could be a good first project. It doesn't absolutely require power tools. Yeah, you can use any tool you like with it. Yeah, as far as like a saw goes, you don't have to have a circular saw. You can use a hand saw. Cedar is soft enough. You could use a Japanese saw. You could use a coping saw for that matter. Really, I mean, you could use about any saw that you might have available or try to start with, or can afford if you're just starting out. You could, and that's a majority of it. Almost, if you don't have a measuring tape, you should. I highly recommend getting one. Your basic toolkit should always have a set of screwdrivers, a hammer, a measuring tape, and then just some standard tape, even if it's just masking tape and electrical tape. That's like a basic do-all beginner kit for any household that you should have. That way you can handle most projects. You buy something from Kia, and you need a tool to build it or build a piece of furniture, you've got it. So what I'm going to do is, I got to finish this corner first. All right, so I got those 2 in. Those 2 screws in, they're holding, so I'm going to put 1 more screw in here. These aren't structural, per se. They're not holding the weight of anything. If they were, then we could do something a little different. Most screws will hold about 45 pounds of weight. Not all screws. Decking screws are built to hold a lot of weight, even small ones. So, yeah, they'll hold more than what you would ever need for a box this size. I mean, really, if you're talking about just shear weight, shear weight is when this bolt will break under pressure or weight. Probably even loaded, 5 screws could hold this whole box. The only reason why I'm putting 3 in here is because that's what's on the other box. That way it matches. We have it looks like it's supposed to belong together. That's the important thing in our case at any rate. Now, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I can. I can see some of the wood in the holes. So what we'll do is I'll take the spray paint that we used to spray these with, and I'll spray a little bit in a cup, and I'll just take a little brush and I'll touch those up. Or I may just tape this right here off and just spray over it real quick. That way it's touched up. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and do the other 3 corners real quick, and then we'll take a look at the finished product. All right, I'll see you here in just a second. All right, guys, got all 4 sides put on. I don't know if you can see it or not. It is quite a dense box, very heavy, very sturdy. 1 second, we'll lift it up so you can see the inside. We got the corners put on, got all 4 corners put on. This inside here is glued and stapled, pin nailed to the inside with the blocks to hold it down so it won't move either direction. Corners are done. Glue is dry. So we're in pretty good shape. So this will be the end of the video for this. That's how you make it. Like I said, the only thing left to do, the only step to go further, I'll do when, and you'll see it because I'll do a video on it when I go to plant the herbs in here, is when we'll finish up this box. And what I'll do is I'll take chicken wire, put it in here, so it forms. Chicken wire bends real easy. So I'll form it to this box and then staple it along the sides. And then I'll take burlap and put that inside there and then put the soil over top of it. And like I said, this, for as much as it will hold, it won't hold very much because the weight will be on the staples holding the chicken wire in. So the weight will essentially be on the sides, which is where you want it at, really. But that's how I build my planter boxes. The only difference between this box and my other planter boxes is these wooden blocks here, they would be legs. And you can paint them any color you want. You can stain this. I do recommend that, or at least put a coat of polyurethane on it or something like that to seal it. But you don't have to. I recommend you go with cedar because cedar is it's weather resistant, lasts forever. And it's got a natural bug deterrent in it. There's not a lot that can go wrong with it, and you don't have to worry about it being filled with chemicals. One thing you don't ever want to use is pressure treated lumber. That's got chemicals in it that could leach into your soil and potentially hurt your whatever you're trying to grow. If it doesn't kill it, it could alter it, and it could hurt you. For that matter, there's just a whole lot that can go bad using pressure-treated lumber for things that'll hold vegetables or herbs or flowers or whatever. So I recommend cedar. There are a few other woods out there that are rot-resistant. Won't fall apart on you. But I like cedar. It's economical. And like I said, this one here is made out of fencing. It's cedar fencing, made for privacy fences. If built right, it is flexible, but if built right, it can be very sturdy. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of this. Let me see. Let me turn so I can see you. Wow. Yeah, I hope you got something out of this. I hope you try a project of your own. Whether it be woodworking or something else. I enjoy woodworking. I thought I would share this with you. It shows you another aspect of me at any rate, and things I like to do. And realistically, even if you built this out, you could build this. This box could go good as shelving in your house, something to hang on the wall. Maybe not this particular, but this style. I've got a grape crate. In the house that a few of them, small crates, which this is nothing more than a crate. I call it a box, but in reality it's a crate that we use for decor. They're not hard to build. It's a good first time thing to build. It doesn't require, you don't need a single power tool. You can use all hand tools. It might take you a little longer, but that's okay. If that's what you got, that's what you got. Remember, you're doing this for fun, so it doesn't have to all be done in one day. You can work on it a little bit here and there, but it's a good first project. It'll teach you how to use a measuring tape, teach you how to use a saw. If you don't have an electric screwdriver or drill bit, that's okay. You can do it all by hand with a hand screwdriver. You don't have to countersink the screws you use if you use screws at all, which I recommend for the legs. If you build this with legs, that you do, just to hold the weight, it would be good. Now there are ways around that, but to hold the weight, I would do that. Yeah, but you can use handheld tools, a good starter tool set to build it. You don't have to. I've been collecting tools long enough that I have those tools. I'm still not done collecting tools, but anyhow. That's how I build my planter boxes, start to finish, and it won't be the next video, but when we go to plant herbs, you'll see what this looks like put in its proper place. All right, I love you. Tell somebody else you love them, and it'll make their day a whole lot better, I promise. All right, talk to you later. Bye.